How's it going, people? Hope you're all doing fantastically well. So, in this video, it's called the Kind Associates Exposed Part 4A. The reason why it's going to be in a few different parts is because this is going to cover quite a bit of information. And as you can see from what I'm showing you, you've got Navin-Chandra Naidu. He's got some aliases, aka Judge Naidu, Judge Aiden, Dr. Naidu, Dr. Aiden, you name it. Big time scammer. You got Neil Keenan. I'm sure a few have heard of him with his fake collateral accounts. And Drake Kent Bailey, who's a bit like Thomas Williams, that pushes the same bullshit out just to gain popularity and clicks and money. And he's wrote a few books which are crap as well. But we'll cover those later. Today we're going to focus purely on Thomas Williams. So this is going to be in a few bits anyway. So let's move on to, this is Thomas Williams, if you didn't know. And so the timeline we want to sort of cover really is, as you know, those of you who know Thomas Williams is British. He's from a place in the north of England called Liverpool. Him and his family moved out to Florida over in 2008. He left his mother and father were back home in England, and he decided to move out there. Always wanted to have a venture, dreamed about it, apparently. That's what he said. So he went there with, this is what we were told, that when he got to immigration, they wasn't going to let him in because the visa he had, the paperwork wasn't complete, and they said he didn't have any business set up. Well, I suppose the right amount of money, but anyway, it's another story. But eventually he did. He started two businesses from one of his homes, which was 1740 Kings Highway, Kissimmee, Florida. This was a pretty big house, as we'll cover that later on. Bigger than what you would think. It's quite enormous. Anyway, yeah, he started a business called TGW Painting LLC. And the second one, we'll put the links in the description for this as well. The other one was TG Williams, which is Thomas Gareth Williams Corp. Now, these two companies, we were told he had no quality experience when it come to what he was doing. One of them was a paint and decorating business. The other one was more like a maintenance company that would, and he was doing it all himself. There was no one else employed. If you wanted your bathroom doing, he'd come around and replace your bathroom. You'd need someone to come in and sort out the issues that you left behind, like leaking taps and everything else, because he was not very good at what he did, from our understanding. And he was known in Kissimmee for ripping people off, businesses off, borrowing money and not paying it back, and other things, which was like, if you wanted a kitchen doing, what he'd do is he'd do your kitchen for you, but he'd make sure that the plumbing part wasn't very good, and you'd have a really bad leak, and the next day you'd phone him up and he'd say to you, you probably need to make an insurance claim on that because it was fine when I did it. And he'll make sure that he gets the contract to do the work. So he deliberately makes sure that the issues were broke, and that whatever he'd done, it would cause a problem. So you'd have to go to insurance company and say, "Oh, I've got someone," and he said, and he'd make a good few, a lot more money out of it than he would if he'd actually charged you privately. So it's insurance rates, which he put a quote in, and they'd probably most likely give him the job, but he did on many occasions. So yes, he was known. He was known over there for that. Now, in 2012, he met Drake Kent Bailey at a UFO conference. I believe it was Contact in the Desert. It might not be exact, but I do recall him saying that in a show, which we've listened to a lot of his shows. Sorry, this is Drake here on the right. And then he became part of a cult called Universal Voice. Now, don't get me wrong, just because I'm calling it cult, the people that were in those groups were nice people. It's the ones that run it, like Drake. Anyways, it didn't seem to work well, and they ended up splitting the group into another group called what was it called? Sorry, Cosmic Voice. Neil Keenan and David Wilcock were introduced to him then through Drake. Now, Neil Keenan, you can see lots of videos and loads of information on the internet about him. You type his name in, you'll find out what a crook he is. But Thomas Williams looked up to Neil Keenan. He saw him as a father figure, gave him a lot of respect, called him Mr. Keenan all the time. So he had a lot of love for Mr. Keenan, but that all changed later on, and we'll cover that in a little bit. So as I just already mentioned, that the Universal Voice split, coming into two shows. One, of course, was Universal Voice, kept that name, and the other half of people come Cosmic Voice. Universal Voice was run by some of the other members that were original members, and they did a pretty good job on it, really. It was only later on when they started being accused of things, because a lot of those that was running Cosmic Voice, Neil Keenan and Drake, they were, not happy that they was getting views, and they wanted everyone to be in their group, because of course it's all about donations and making money and things like that. So yeah, anyway, Cosmic Voice show. Thomas become the Cosmic Voice show host, as the person he replaced decided they didn't want to do it anymore, on my understanding, and they continued doing running the show at Universal Voice. So he was the Cosmic Voice show host. Now, the next bit I'm going to show you is what really happened, and of course we've been given a lot of information, evidence about Thomas Williams, and we've held off publishing this due to many factors, and that's because in 2013, around about the October time, he was admitted to Park Place Mental Health Hospital in Kissimmee, which was about 3 miles down the road from where he lived, and it was well known in the area, was this mental health hospital, and there were quite a few people in the area that actually worked there, from garden maintenance, right through to nurses and healthcare assistants, you name it. But anyway, we held off publishing this for many reasons, but main factors was because the whistleblower and source we didn't get authorization from the sources and whistleblower. Also, we needed additional evidence and confirmation on some of the information that was given and evidence. We get loads of things sent to us, and we don't just jump on it. We look into it and we try and connect the dots and missing jigsaw pieces and things like that, because sometimes it can be like that. So a few years back, I'll tell you kind of like the story, what happened. The picture I'm showing you is at the front of the hospital, and there it is down the bottom there. Doesn't look too bad, does it? It's quite a nice place, although it's not nice being admitted into hospital. We have a lot of respect for people's mental health, and it's shocking that the world don't see it that way. They're ignorant towards mental health. We've all got family members. The core members in Team Bubba have had family members, that have suffered mental health. So we totally understand, and like I said, there's no disrespect, regardless of how we feel about Thomas. This is leading to something bigger, and you need to know this is what it is, and it's no secret, as you'll see. It was already put out there, but anyway, we'll get into it. So a few years back, we'll call them Source A, emailed Team Bubba claiming that they knew Thomas from when he lived in Kissimmee, and said he was placed into a mental institute, and one of their acquaintances worked there at the hospital, and he even provided the hospital name, which we know I've shown you now is Park Place. We just thought, okay, like we do with most evidence we get or information, we filed it, waiting for further investigation when we get round to looking into it, or until more evidence is provided. Then it must be about a year later, another source, we call it Source B, provided us with a plethora of information regarding Thomas. They also mentioned that he was also admitted into the same mental institute as Source A told us. Source B also claimed Thomas was well known in Kissimmee, mostly for his shabby maintenance work and crooked ways on local homes, especially the elderly, which is shocking. It basically targeted the vulnerable people, the ones that were retired or disabilities, and this is what we was told. And he knew he could pull the wool over their eyes, as we say. And then we was told by this source that locals know that Thomas has this show, the THI show, and they'd get together, right? The ones that he'd ripped off, or he'd made a shabby job, because like I said, he was well known in that area, and they listened to the show to see what he was getting up to, and in hope that he would get arrested one day, and hopefully that would happen. So after we got confirmation really from two people that Thomas Williams had been in this hospital, and it was the right hospital, we thought, well, we better revisit this and go back to Source A and ask if their contact that they had in a mental institute, apparently this is what they said, they've got a contact, their acquaintance that is in the hospital, if their contact in the mental institute would be able to provide more details on the person that they believed was Thomas. Now let's call this contact Mary, because I hate calling them just a contact. Let's say Mary. So this Mary worked at Park Place for 15 years apparently, and they distinctively remember Thomas, as they don't get many under 50s. Well, I don't even know how old he was at the time, but they said they don't get many under 50 British residents. and especially ones with like strong accent. Now, apparently, this. Remember, the source say that knew this person that worked at the home. A lot of people worked in that home that lived in the area that Thomas lived in, so it was quite, when people are sitting down saying, "Oh, Thomas Williams is in this show. He's got his own show. He used to live around here." Word gets around, and apparently this is how they become acquainted. And one of the reasons why we're able to come out with this now is because the person, Mary, that worked there no longer works there, and she was, of course, worried about not just losing their job, but not being able to get another job within that area. So this is the information we got back from Mary through our source. Thomas was extremely traumatized when he arrived. Now, let me just take it back a little bit. Another reason why they said they remember him is because most of their residents they get in there quite long term. They're in there for months, and said that Thomas was in there for a few days, and they was quite worried about him because he was extremely traumatized when he arrived, and he was the kind of person that would just sit in the chair for the most of the time. He was very emotional. They're used to seeing men crying because it's such a horrible place to be in, really, and it to be locked. So we'll say locked in your room, but locked into a premises, a building, with other people that you've never been around before. So it was a massive shock to him, and he refused his meds. He wouldn't eat. There were things like he wouldn't wash. They had to clean him and things like that. Because you imagine, you're traumatized. You're going to soil yourself and all that kind of thing. Horrible thing to go through. And so this went on for about two days. He was like this, and then she said another resident, a younger lady with long blonde hair, comforted him, and was someone that he seemed to click with and speak with, and it kind of like brought him out of his shell a little bit. This Mary didn't know what her name was. The only thing that she could tell us is that this lady was quite nice to him, very attached. She'd been a resident in there for a few months, and remembers having ECT. Now I had to look that. I don't know what that is, but it's called electroconvulsive therapy, which said that quite a lot of those treatments, quite a few of the residents had that treatment in there because it was to help with psychotic treatment apparently. So anyway, so that's what we got, and we just thought, we need to find some more information. So we kept looking around, and we spent quite a long time looking through Thomas Williams' shows, and someone within Team Bubba group kindly said that they remember Thomas saying on a show on Cosmic Voice that he'd been in a mental institute, and now we knew he'd been in a mental institute. That's why some of the posts we made through Team Bubba was kind of like, we used to kind of wind him up with it, although it was more about him. We'd say he was him wearing Depends, like people like incontinent pants and things like that to wind him up, because the amount of things that we used to get told about him ripping all people off and that just made us sick. So we used to do that, and he used to wind him up big time. Some of it was quite comical, but on a serious matter, we're talking about someone that's got mental health. But so we managed to locate one of Thomas Williams's Cosmic Voice shows, and it was around the time when he was admitted into that place mental institute. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play that a snippet of that show.
Well, hi all, and welcome back to Cosmic Voice. Well, it's been an interesting couple of weeks. Interesting in inverted commas, massive inverted commas, I might add. Where do I start? Well, I'm going to apologise that you've all missed the shows, and we all missed the ET shows, me included. But the decision was made given circumstances that were going on behind the scenes. A couple have asked, are Tanath and Sunfire okay? Yes, they are, and they weren't involved. But they were instrumental in the decisions to suspend the show. And hopefully we'll get those shows back up soon, because it's important. It's important for us all. And more important for me, given what happened to me last week. It's been quite a traumatic time. Certain people, and I'm not going to name names, but I think it becomes fairly obvious, decided that my belief system and yours is not valid. And because they decided it not to be valid, it's deemed as being nutty or psychotic. And these people who decided that I was in this condition should know better. I can't help them with their guilt. They have to live with that. So on Tuesday of last week, I was actually on a call to somebody in the background. We were going through questions for the Wednesday show, and we got a knock on the door, and it was the cops, and all sorts of things went through my head. Has my son had an accident, and a whole host of things. I was greeted at the door, and they decided, they asked me my name. I told them it, and I was still in a bit of state of, what's going on? You need to come with us. And I said, what for? And we don't have to tell you, and proceeded to burst into my home. I asked them for warrants and a whole host of other things. They refused to produce a warrant. They refused to produce papers, and they refused to give me a reason as to why I was being removed from my home. Upon me asking questions, they decided that if I didn't cooperate, they were going to taser me. That's a bit of a shock in itself. So anyway, I was frog-marched out of my own home in handcuffs, placed in a car, and I had a report thrown at me, signed by a person rather close to me who decided to be a bit vindictive, I have to say. That's my opinion. Others think differently, but that's my opinion. So I proceeded to read this report, and it was littered with a smattering of mistruths, summations, half-lies, and downright lies, period. And I was told I was going to be placed in a mental institution for having this belief system. I was detained for 4 days, threatened with psychotic meds, which I told them to stick in where the sun don't shine, and I won't be taking any. To which they said, well, you won't be getting out of here. And so my reply was, well, we'll see about that. Anyway, I eventually got out Saturday. I've been recuperating, and it's been very heartening to me, all the well wishes from last week. I was getting confirmation of that from one or two people was I managed to smuggle my mobile phone into the prison. And it wasn't a mental hospital, it was a prison. I was locked up 23 hours a day, given pig swill, what they class as food. I didn't eat any of it, and I refused to take the pharmaceutical painkillers either. But this has made me a lot stronger as a person. I'm surprised. I surprised myself how well I came through with it. It was heartening that everyone was sending me well wishes, and I thank you all for that. I've read many messages since I've been home, and it's been very heartening to me that I have all your support. One lady in particular has been a massive help to me over this last week, and we all need to love each other a lot more than we currently do, and this is very important to all of us. We need to love each other a lot more than we do. We need to look after people a lot more than we do. And this song is going out to this lady, so while I compose myself for the next 6 minutes, we will be back with the show. Apologies that it's been a bit of a long start, but I thought you'd all like to know what went on. I'm back, like the two songs, The Show Must Go On, and I'm Alive and I Am Kicking. And I'm going to dedicate this song to the person who's been the most help to me over this past week. I thank her and I thank you. We'll be back shortly.
Alright, so there you go. That's the audio file. He's admitting quite a lot there. Of course, he's admitted that he was, my understanding from what Mary was saying, which I'll tell you what she said, because we shared the that audio file with Mary, and we gave her a copy of the audio file, and she confirmed that the accent was very similar, and said that Park Place was nothing like what Thomas described it. She said it wasn't like a jail. They had their own cozy little rooms with everything they needed, TV and everything. It wasn't like a prison cell. It was all kitted out like a really nice room, comfortable. They had their own facilities. The residents were treated with respect and kindness. It was never locked in the rooms. The only ones that may have been if there was on suicidal watch. And we got the feeling that she was insulted by what Thomas has said, because they work very hard in there, and like most places, understaffed, and they try and do their best for the residents that are there. So yeah, but I think in the audio file, you listen to that very last bit when he shows his appreciation for one lady. Now, the next bit we're going to cover is, if you remember, about a year ago, we had a whistleblower that provided, the address of Kim's house. That was given to us, and not just that, but they also sent us a stack of documentation and copies of photos. One particular photo got our immediate attention, which fitted in well with what we've just covered. If you think about it, right at the end, like I said, he had appreciation for one particular lady that helped him throughout the week. Then if you look back at what Mary is saying, that there was one of the residents, a younger lady with long blonde hair, that helped him, that seemed to be stuck to him like glue, basically, the way she was mentioning it. Of course, we can't share the emails that we received because, we just don't do that. But the information does fit in with what we're about to show you now. So here we go. Here's a letter, a photograph of a letter that we've had to, redact because, we don't want people to know, of course, who the doctor is that's involved, the medical doctor. But as you can see from, it's obviously it's a photograph of a hospitalization letter that, we, like I said, we've redacted the doctor's name for obvious reasons as well. But look at the letter. Park Place Behavioural Health Centre. Certificate granted to blah blah blah, the medical doctor of Miss Kimberly Ann Goguen. Part A. Now there was other sheets to this this letter which we've not. There's no point in us sharing this. This is the key bit, and you can read it for yourself. It says on there that the patient was admitted to hospital on the 13th of August 2013. Now I know Kim in an interview with Shane Naruna, which I think might have been a year and a half ago, 2 years, where Shane said to her, "Look, that you've been to Thomas Williams's house," and she went, "No, I've never been to Florida. Last time I was in Florida was 2006, was it, or 2008? I can't remember. I'll have to dig out the audio clip. I'll share it in here later." But it seems that she was located in Florida for quite a few years. And it looks like, going by this letter and by the evidence of someone described the same as Kim, that she was hospitalized in August 2013, which is Thomas Williams was hospitalized in, was it October? There you go. And I don't know what might have caused Kim to have a breakdown or something going, apart from the fact that around that time, I'm guessing it would have been a bit before 2013, she lost custody of her child. Her husband got the child. They went through a divorce, and there was all things like that. So maybe the stresses and everything else, broke her, and she ended up being admitted to an hospital. Well, you make your mind up. It says in here clearly that, when she was admitted, we've had witnesses say that she was admitted. Thomas Williams admitting that he was in that hospital. Well, not that he was in that a particular. He said he was in a mental institute, but we've had confirmation, and he did live in Kissimmee, which is a few miles from where he lived, was that hospital. Literally 5-minute drive. Because I've looked it up. So going by what we've just shown you, this means Tommy met Kimmy well before she allegedly was introduced to Thomas via Shane Naruna. Kim and Thomas must have exchanged phone numbers when they were in the hospital. He admitted to having a phone as well. So, like I said, this was given to us as a stack of information. And I said we were surprised to see this letter. Anyway, so it seems like there's too many coincidences. But of course, there's probably people out there that could probably fill in the gaps for us. And if there is, then, and you've got proof, or you can add some more information, then please let us know. Our email address is in the description box, because we only want the truth, and we want people to know what's going on. So the biggest thing here is the fact that it looks like there's been more lies told, and that's why we wanted to bring this out now. Because post his hospitalization, Tom's become very or extremely bitter, especially with his family, his children, his wife, ex-wife now, and friends, and start to go down this dark route of deception and lies, and of course scamming. Kim just uses her controlling powers on him, like she did with Tank. That's why when she got booted out, she booted him out, he was devastated. He just couldn't deal with it. He was in such shock. Even, most in THI were thinking, they were worried about his health. Both Kim and Thomas admitted that she was in Cosmic Voice under the alias of Christy Adams. Now, she didn't probably come into that until probably 2016. But between them meeting in this mental institute in 2016, Thomas was going, like I said, he was going down some big rabbit hole of hatred. It got to a point where, when Kim come into, which I'll show you, this was her. This was her Facebook account, Christy Adams. She was in there and she was stirring up shit. Got loads of posts of her in there. Then not long, probably a few months after she joined, there was a big split. They booted Tommy out. And there was a big divide. And quite a few of the members moved over to Thomas's new show, Truth on Integrity. But, Thomas has got into a lot of crooked things post 2013 when he was in there. And he got mixed up with Navin-Chandra Naidu, that fake judge was talking about, with the birth certificate scam. The Kingdom of Hawaii, another scam very similar to the Kingdom of Mana. The next one, of course, the Kingdom of Mana, Mana World Holding Trust, fake alien shows, attempting to scam through third world country banks and businesses. All this happened when Tommy met Kimmy. She's very powerful. She's very intelligent. She needs help, and maybe Thomas does as well. Need to go back and get help. Anyway, it's up to you, folks, to believe what you want to believe. We've always said that, but you need to go out and do your own research. And if there are people out there that want to share stuff with us, of course, like I said earlier, come, please share it with us. So the next part, we're going to probably go into the Neil Keenan bit, I think. The man that he respected, the man that he thought was a father figure to him. It'll be quite interesting, the things that we find. But as you can see now, you're starting to see a pattern with Kim again, of getting involved, mostly men, to manipulate and control, take advantage, and that's basically how they do it. Now she's done it. She's still doing it today. But the story continues in part 4B. Thanks very much, everyone, for watching. Okay, everyone, you take care and enjoy the rest of your week. Bye-bye.